So we have definitely come a long way, right? We've come a long way. We've talked about the forms, the regulations, the key players. And now in this module, we're going to discuss a little bit more about the steps of the physical evaluation board. So, what we'll do is we will identify those key steps, give you some tips of how to prepare for these meetings within these steps. And then also, I want you to know what you should expect. Now, why do I want you to know what you should expect? Because in the event that something goes wrong, you can understand the process enough to develop or help your lawyer to develop a plan or course of action. Because remember, this is your board. So, what you've already done is you've had a condition, you've met with your physicians, they put you in the MEB, you've seen and have done the exams, you prepared for those exams, and the board has met and said, you know what, I think this soldier needs to be forwarded over to the physical evaluation board. So let's dig in a little bit more to talk about the steps of the physical evaluation board phase. From a high level view, the Pueblo forwards all of the approved documents to the informal PEB board. Okay. So everything that happened in the MEB, they're going to forward all those documents to the informal PEB board. The informal board will meet, they will come to some understanding of your condition and determine whether or not you are found fit or unfit for duty. The Pebble will then receive the results of the meeting and then share them with you. And at that point, you will agree or disagree with their findings. That's pretty much a high level overview of the PEB steps. Key thing is they will find you to be fit or unfit. Now, if you're found fit, then you will proceed and live military life. If you're found unfit, um, there are some other things that goes along with that process. So let's paint the picture a little bit more for you. This way you understand what is happening. Let's talk about the board and when the board convenes. Who's on this board? According to AR 635 40, it talks a little bit about that. The composition must consist of at least two military or civilian members meeting the requirements below. The presiding officer will either be a field grade officer of any component in any authorized duty or training status of any Army branch other than the Medical Corps, or a DA civilian adjudication officer in the grade of a GS 13 or above. The other members must be serving in or above the grade of O4 or GS 12. At least one member must be a non physician. And basically, a physician member is not required except when the MEB includes one or more behavioral health diagnoses. The determinations, how are they going to make the determinations? The informal PEB will make the determinations listed according to the adjudication policy of Chapter 5. Well, that's a pretty interesting chapter that we should probably take a look at. These determinations will be documented on the form DA Form 199. This is the form, and we'll show you that you will receive the results of their findings with your diagnosis and the applicable ratings, and we'll get more into that. So when they're meeting, they're trying to answer the questions of whether your conditions collectively or individually causes you to be unfit for continued military service. They're also evaluating whether the unfitting medical conditions were incurred or aggravated in the line of duty and if these conditions are permanent and stable. Okay. So now we're going to dig a little bit deeper and stay with me for a while here, because this is the key pieces, because you want to know what the criteria is that they're using to establish you to be fit or unfit. And why would that be important? And we'll talk about that. So here, I just want to highlight 5-1 and 5-3. 5-1, a soldier will be considered unfit when the preponderance of evidence means is more likely than not, right? The evidence that's in there is more likely that you have a disability, right? So a soldier will be considered unfit when the preponderance of evidence established that the soldier, due to disability, is unable to reasonably perform the duties of their office, grade, rank, or rating, to include duties during a remaining period of a reserve obligation. Here, 5-3 says, in making a determination of unfitness, the following criteria may be included in the assessment. A, the medical condition represents a decided medical risk for the health of the soldier or to the welfare of other soldiers. The medical condition imposes unreasonable requirements on the Army to maintain and protect the soldier. Here in 5-4 of AR 635-40, they go into the reasonable performance of duties. And the reason why I'm showing this to you is, let's think back to the commander statement. When people say, hey, what do I was told to write something up to give to the commander so he or she can write the commander statement. This is the meat of what they are looking for in terms of criteria. So if you have conditions that you believe are making you unfit, you have to be able, or should be able, to spell out your conditions in a manner that meets some of these requirements. And it's not lying, it's literally just taking that information and saying, hey, I don't believe that I can perform my common task. Let's dive into what this is saying. So, in general, 5-4, it says, determining whether a soldier's medical impairments precludes the soldier from reasonably performing their duties will be determined based on the factors below. The common military task. The PEP considers whether the soldier can perform the common military tasks required for the soldier's office, grade, and rank, including the duties during the remaining period of a reserve obligation. One, a minimum standard. The functional tasks listed on DA Form 3349 will be considered common military tasks. Well, what are the common military tasks listed on DA Form 3349? What is the 3349? That is your profile. So, can you do those things that are listed on the profile? And if you can't, you need to write that. Next, the Army physical fitness. Can you perform the physical fitness test? Does your injury preclude you from taking all of the aerobic events? Ability to deploy. Does your particular condition stop you from deploying individually or as part of a unit with or without prior notification to any location specified by the Army? So I wanted to just highlight some of these things for you. So this way, when you're communicating with the board indirectly, when you write your statements, when you help the commander, if asked, write the commander statement. Okay. These are the things that they're going to look at. Here, I want to just highlight, they define what worldwide deployment means. But let's take a look at Section 4. The medical conditions listed in Department of Defense Instruction 6490 dot zero 07 enclosure 3 represents the minimum medical conditions that may cause a soldier to be medically non-deployable. So if you want to be found fit or unfit, here are the things that you need to think about to fight your case. Remember, the medical board is a legal, financial, medical, mental experience. A PEB will find a soldier with these conditions listed in the instruction as unfitting, provided that the medical condition is one which does not meet the medical retention standards of AR 40-501. And here I just wanted to show you where you can look up that regulation if you so want to. Just go to www.health.mil. The latest updated version of that is here on August 18th, but you will be able to find exactly that regulation that pertains to the military standards from a DoD perspective. Lastly, we want to talk about 5-6, the evidentiary standards for determining unfitness because of physical disability. What are the factual findings that will help determine unfitness? So, factual findings will be made on the basis of objective evidence in the record as distinguished from personal opinion, speculation, or conjecture. When the evidence is not clear concerning a soldier's fitness, an attempt will be made to resolve doubt by further investigation. Listen up. Benefit of that doubt will be resolved in favor of fitness under the presumption that the soldier desires to be found fit for duty. So if you're trying to be found fit for duty and the board is saying, no, you're unfit, these are the things that you need to present to help your case. The factual evidence, if it's unclear, right? Preponderance of evidence. Fitness or unfitness will be determined on the basis of the preponderance of the objective evidence in the record. Meaning, is it more likely than not that what we see inside of the record that you have this disability and then it will cause these situations that will preclude you from doing your job? But here's in letter D of 5-6, it talks about referral for chronic impairment. When a soldier is referred for physical disability evaluation for a medical impairment of a chronic nature, like for in my example, my knee, an evaluation of the soldier's performance duty by supervisors, as indicated, for example, by letters. So the commander statement. That's why this is so important. Evaluation reports, your OERs, the NCOERs, the status of physician medical privileges, or personal testimony. You should be giving the board your personal testimony. You should be writing up a personal testimony. May provide better evidence than a clinical estimate by a physician of the soldier's ability to perform their duties. Particularly in a case of chronic illness, these documents may be expected to reflect accurately a soldier's capacity to perform. Changes in medications or other therapy for chronic conditions do not alone establish deterioration of a chronic condition. So take a look at this regulation, cause and effect. It talks about cause and effect relationships. All right, so we're going to leave it there. And in the next video, part 2 of this video, we're going to jump into more of the VA rating, the DA 199, the calculation, and really kind of talk about that part of the process. See you in a bit.